celebrate. So we have open sharing tonight. It's nothing formal. It's all just in remembrance of Gladys and family. And so I hope you all brought something to share and not just sit and wait for others to share. So we have a slideshow after a while. We'll have, it's 13 minutes. But we're gonna have a song to start, and then maybe some sharing, and then we'll have the slideshow, and then with more sharing. So I ask the worship leaders to come and lead the worship. And let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you that you are real and that you are in our hearts and control our minds, and we pray that you'll be with us this evening and with the family as we share memories and joy and sorrow. I pray that you'll bless each one in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening. Welcome you to stand if you want. If I know it's been a tiring day for many of us, so if you want to sit, but whatever you want, stand, sit. We're going to sing the song, Goodness of God, together. I think we'll have our slideshow as well, PowerPoint. So.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. When all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. And I will sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you so much. And here up front is still some room, or to the side, so it's plenty of space. I don't know how you want to share. When do you want to share? Before the slideshow or after? If before, then we know you have something genuine on your mind that you want to share. Afterwards, just remembrance. So I don't know. Anybody want to share something now? And then we'll watch this slideshow, and afterwards we have some sharing. Something, Terence? Or afterwards, rather? Anybody would like to say something now? Okay, then we will have this slide. Okay, Melissa, finally.
One of the things that I remember about, one of the first things I remember about Gladys when we moved here was she was the type of person that if she found out that you were sick or someone in your family was sick, she wouldn't suggest what you should take. She would bring it to you and tell you what to take. Like some people say, oh, you should go buy this and this, and then, that will help. But she was different. She would show up with it and say, this is what you should do. So it didn't give you the option of thinking about it. She was going to make sure that you took it and that you would get better. And another example was when we were in Guatemala, we went to visit them. For some strange reason, we ended up getting sick there with COVID. And so we had to move out, and we went to a hotel. And I remember so clearly, now when I think back of it, I think Gladys had a little bit of a glitter in her eyes when she could finally not be the patient, but she could come and bring us stuff. And they brought us way more food than we could eat, way more medication than we could even take, and all sorts of different things that they brought us at the hotel to make sure that we would get better, and we would get better fast.
Okay, let's have the slideshow, and who want to have a mic? Clarence will have one, and who else? If there are pictures coming along, you want to say something? Soon that will be on, I think. Now, try it now. Yeah. So anybody else? Who else want to have the mic? Just if you want to say something from the picture.
Okay, I want this to be an evening where you can say something, you can say something funny if you want to, something, and you can say something that your memory is going to be a casual evening where we celebrate Gladys' life. And if you have a sentence to give, come at least say a sentence, so that you remember of something of her, or that adds value to this evening.
time has come. Still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, worship Your holy name. Come on, bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I worship Your holy name. Yes, I will worship Your holy name. Lord, I worship Your holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, worship Your holy name. Jesus, I will worship Your holy name. Worship Your
Can put on the lights again. So now who want to share something? A lot of real pictures, so that they're not made up, so that is hurts to see them going, yeah? If you want to share something, can gladly or need to come to the front.
Good evening. One day, Reuben Thiessen came to me and said that I have something exciting to share. And he says that Clarence has found a bird. Something like that he mentioned. Not exactly the right way he said it, but he said that Clarence has found a bird. And I said, what did he mean with that? I couldn't catch on right away what he meant with that, but anyway, then he says that, Clarence has found a girlfriend. And so I said, well, that's so he looked like he was also very excited, but anyway, probably he was jealous because that was before he was married. Anyway, so, well, no, he was very happy. He was very happy for both of them. Anyway, but then soon after that, we had a Spanish service in Los Tambos or Salena, somewhere in that area. We were there visiting a church service that one evening. Then they showed up there. So so that confirmed that there was something happening. That was also before they were married. So that's. I just remember that so clearly. And Reuben told me this, and then when they show up there at the service that time there, and together, just enjoying their friendship at that time already. So I thought that, it's it became very fresh for my heart or my mind this evening, just to see how room became exciting news. And later on, I met them there a few days after that. I met them there at their church service, their Spanish church,
Yeah, we had our date for Christmas. I got a real good Christmas gift. The 25th of December was our first date. That's the most amazing Christmas gift you can get, right? And then we married in July, so we dated at least half a year. That was like a long time. We'd enjoy that, though. And some of the pictures were Carlsberg Caverns, the Royal Gorge. They were the honeymoon pictures. Some picking flowers. I want to say a little bit of the prison ministry. That's something she went there for 10 years. And what I did for her, maybe did as much for her as I did for the ladies at the prison. She was not very talkative among strangers. Unless you were friends, then she could say anything. She had to get a little used to you. But in prison, she was no peer pressure in prison. So she really enjoyed. He brought these ladies freedom, and when she came out of prison, she was excited to tell us about what they did in prison, and it was clear to see that she got freedom as she brought freedom to the people in prison. For just 1 hour each month, these ladies forgot that they were in prison. And when she came back out of the prison, she was experiencing freedom as well. So it was a real big help for her in her life. So I always cheered her on that. I was glad she went to prison. One day, the wildlife forestry came to my house, and they wanted to take the monkey. But it's not legal to have a monkey without a permit. But I did have a permit, and so I wanted to see the permit. And I told him, I don't know where the permit is. Only my wife knows where it is, but she's in prison. So I couldn't help them for the moment, and they left. Well, I wouldn't mind her being home, and that's another point I want to make. She was my memory. She remembered everything, and maybe it made me lazy. But I always ask her, "Where's this? Where's that?" And she would always know, but not me. So there's a huge gap missing now. My memory's gone. And I don't know how I'm going to function without my memory. How can you function without memory? It's hard, right? Well, my memory is very short sometimes, and it's not like hers. Someone else want to share something?
All right, well, let's have something from outside of the country. Abe Platt wants to share something.
Hey, good evening from Manitoba, and just watching along with all the rest of you, and just a couple of memories I have. My very first memory of Gladys is my wife Gladys and I were living in Kelowna, British Columbia, when Clarence brought that beautiful bride of his all the way to Kelowna. And I remember just a very young, shy Gladys, and I thought to myself, how in the world could Clarence ever get a bride like that? And but she was beautiful and just lots of fun to be with, and we had lots of good times. And then I remember just a week or so ago spending a bit of time on the couch as we had the opportunity of praying with Clarence and Gladys, and just really, really enjoyed that last time that we had with with Gladys. And man, our hearts just go to you guys, wishing you all the best. We love you guys.
Thank you to Abe from Manitoba. Guess he's on live stream at the moment, so thank you on behalf of Clarence to Abe. It has been a very, very beautiful journey. A lot of it was bittersweet. To walk alongside Clarence during this journey, which some of you are aware that we somehow seem to be connecting in a lot of ways through this time, and to see the process, the progress, to see how these challenges that we were walking through together was helping us, realizing some of the things we can't change, some of the things we need to find ways to work with, live with, and yet to seek the grace of God in our journey, to find comfort for things that we need comfort for. And the opportunity that we had to meet with them in Guatemala, they were the ones that were out there for medical reasons. But when it came to walking and going home from the medical checkups, you would think that the ones who were tagging behind, panting and gasping for air, were the ones that should be the patients or the needy. Clarence and Gladys would be almost, it would be almost like a set of deer that were just white-tailed out of there, like 2 miles, barely stopped, something to look around, see how you guys doing back there, kind of thing. And I'm talking this last November, 5-6 months ago, to see how persistent Gladys was in her. You wouldn't have guessed that she had anything going against her. And to see that confident, in spite of struggling through this in her heart, her mind, and wondering how she can be there for her family, and knowing what's all going on in her body, that she is able to go through. So what I would like to point out is the ongoing miraculous wonders that we were able to see, even though it took her out short. She should have lived her 80s, but to see the marvelous miracles that were happening in her life. Just 3 weeks ago today, going to Belize City, she was talking very quietly, as some of you know, that because she didn't want to cough. Loud voice created more sensation in her throat. She didn't want to cough, so she was talking very quietly to avoid getting into that. But as we had kind of finished our conversations on our way going, halfway to Belize City, I decided she loves worship music, so we'll play some of that on our way going. So we turned on a song that I felt was appropriate and fitting. And before the song was way into it, I heard her as well as the song. She was fully engaged in the song. She wasn't singing loud, but she was fully in it. I think she forgot that she was trying to keep her voice low to avoid a cough. She was singing happily with the song of this worship on our way to Belize City 3 weeks ago today. When the song was nearly done, Clarence reminded her, "You're not coughing." Well, that's true. So ongoing things that were going on, miracles were happening that I didn't know how unique it was. Clarence and Gladys reminded each other that she's not coughing. Well, I didn't know how particular that was. So what I want to say is we've seen many amazing miracles that happened, things that were different than what they expected they would be because of the hand of God. And to come over to their house, being invited to come in and spend time in prayer. And Gladys would determine, say, I just want Jesus, with tears in her eyes. Now that means something when somebody declares that. That's what I want. I want Jesus. With such confidence, with such depth of heart. And to see her prayer language becoming deeper and deeper is something that I wish on her behalf I could impress this upon each one of us. Even though the suffering, the struggles, and the natural fear of the reality was surrounding her, her hope was steadfast. And so today I'd like to say, she's our cheerleader. We were standing by with her till the last moment. But today she's our hero. She is now the one who is encouraging us, go for it.
Anybody else?
Good evening. Here's lots of friends that are disappointed that they had to see us here again. We have been saying bye so many times already, and here we are again. But that's because God is good. We were trying to speed it because my mom was sick. We wanted to go back to see her, but God had a different plan. He made sure that that passport would not be ready so we could share with the funeral. With the family. I'm praising God for it. A couple of weeks ago, or was it maybe last week, we got invited for Easter weekend, and we stopped in with them, and we were able to talk to them a little bit, and we sat by there again. And I told Gladys, if we don't see you here again, we'll see you in heaven. You should have seen that smile. I will always see that smile. And now hopefully you will finally get rid of us. We do have tickets now. We are hoping to leave. And I'm just saying again, we are blessed that God has led it this way, that we are able to share this moment with the family. Gladys and Clarence and the family are dear to us, and we are glad that we can share this moment with them. And we will miss you, and we will definitely continue praying for you all.
Well, I feel like Gladys, she was a genuine mom. And her heart extended way further than her family. But her family was very close and very dear to her. And she took good care of her children and the other children who need a home. Some more I know that found a home in her heart. And this is very, very, very precious, that if a mother's heart extends beyond her own family. And I was thinking, maybe often the mothers are being overseen of their work that they do. And I was thinking, how if now for 1 month, all the mothers would leave their home. Everything that's there, the children and everything, would just leave everything and go away for 1 month. What would happen? There would be a lot of wailing and crying, and it would be horrible. If a man goes away for 1 month, the home still runs, but not if the mother goes away. And if a home doesn't run properly, what happens? There's a lot of chaos going on. And so I was just pondering about it again. The mother's work is such an important part in the home, in the lives. And they just have their special part, and it is devastating if a mother passes away like this, but the Lord is grace, and so we just wish Clarence and the family a lot of grace to go on, and someday it's our last day. So maybe I'll just be faithful. All the mothers keep on being faithful, and all the husbands being faithful, and one day we'll see Gladys again. I'm glad for that. We have this very precious hope in us. She just went away a little bit sooner than us.
Dueck. Back in the early 90s, which is in the previous century, I remember Clarence and I were working on a D8 Caterpillar out in the yard. And there's a Ford tractor coming down the road. And as it passes the place where we're working on the machine outside in the yard, Clarence asked me, "Do you know who that is?" And I looked and I said, "I'm not sure." And he told me who it was. And that's, as far as I can remember, that's the first time where I noticed that Clarence liked Gladys. And it didn't take long, and we had a wedding. And it sounded like it was only like a long half year. But it was fun watching you guys. I remember that. And then there was the wedding. And then, I don't know, maybe a week or two later, short time after, I was thinking, I wonder how this young couple is doing. And I remember driving down the road, going towards the FTC, and I passed their place. And I see people running on the yard there, and I looked, and here's Gladys running full speed down across the yard, and she's heading up, running towards the tree there by the shed, and she climbs up, and Clarence after her. And I slowed down. I wanted to see the scene. I know it was, I don't know if it was a private matter or not, but she kept climbing higher and higher, and Clarence followed right to the top of the tree. And I thought to myself, this is good. I like it. So, this is now how many years later? And this is what I admire about Clarence and Gladys. Look at it. They finished the race well. This relationship that started there, it endured to the end. Solid. That's amazing, Clarence. You have an amazing family. You were a married man, and you showed us how it's done. Climbing trees, living a good life. I believe God is very happy with you and your family, because you showed us how a good marriage looks like, and you stayed true to the very end, and that's our example. God bless you and your family. We love you.
Although Gladys was my aunt, I never very much interacted with her, and I'm very sorry for that now. But I always remember her, if she would walk by me, she'd always be like, "Hi, Chris, how are you doing?" And I'd always be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm good." And she'd walk on and greeting people and asking them how they are. And I always like, "Okay, well, that's cool. That's nice of her." But I didn't realize until just now how much that meant to me. And if I was at Clarence and Gladys's house for the afternoon on Sunday, or if I went with them with Jaden to Mountain Pine Ridge or something, Gladys would always be the one to ask me, "Hey, Chris, you want something to eat or something to drink?" She'd always be taking care of people, and that's going to leave a big hole in this church, in this world right now. So I would like to very much thank her now.
I remember one day, me and Paita, we went to Clarence and Gladys' house, and it was before lunch, and Paita did not get the money before lunch, and then she invited us to eat there. And then after lunch, Paita had to do something on the yard, and she invited me to help her to plant the flowers. And I went to plant flowers with her, and she had a happy smile on her face.
So Carolyn asked me to make a few remarks for her, so let me see what she has here. Gladys has been my oldest sister, but she was much more than just a sister. She was like a second mother. She would help me out in every way she could. She was very hospitable. She would invite us for supper, keep our kids when I went shopping and when we traveled. She was always very helpful when her children were sick. She had a home remedy for everything. And then one memory that I still have of Gladys's younger years when one day I had to accompany her to the field in Barton Ramy. During the day, a motorcycle drove into the field, and after Clarence and Gladys ended their clandestine date, he drove off. What was even more interesting was how Gladys used a tractor and disc to hide the bike tracks across the field. And just before her dad came to check on us, she had concealed her misdeeds. So we were in Guatemala too while they had their treatments, and so we would often follow them too when they were walking down the sidewalk, and occasionally they would sing, pump their fists, and louder and louder. And we were behind, and Clarence says, "You embarrassed back there?" And so when you know a Latvian is embarrassed, it's a bit strange, but I'm saying, "You think it's the medication?" But it was very interesting, and something we won't soon forget.
Yeah, I think that Clarence and Gladys acted a bit like kids or something when they were in Guatemala. This one time we had this Uber again, and Clarence was telling the driver that he wanted to stop and buy some flowers. So we did, and then he told the driver that he was bringing it to his girlfriend at the hotel, and we were all right there. And as we got off, then he took Gladys's hand, and I told him, "What is the taxi driver going to think now?" And Gladys was just laughing, like she always does.
There's a song that says, "Give her the flowers while they live," right? And I would in Guatemala sometimes take the bicycle and go towards the Belize embassy. Close to it, there was a flower shop. More than one occasion, I would drive there with a bicycle and buy a bunch of flowers and come back to the apartment. We were living on the 11th floor, so we had a really nice view of the airport. We had a nice view of a huge park. It was very beautiful. And then I would take these flowers and make bouquets. And she really enjoyed them. So we often had fresh flowers in our apartment. And she would enjoy that. Another thing is, I'm not much of a drinker. I don't get drunk very often. The first time I felt something happening to my brain was when I was at her place. And Aline would bring us a little bit of wine in a cup. And I would drink mine, and then she didn't want to drink hers, so it wasn't much. And so I drank hers as well. And it was the evening where we were supposed to go to Hen Amrimer, the preacher, to sign the papers, right? So I don't know, and I felt something funny. I never experienced it before in my life. And then I realized that this alcohol was affecting me. I was hungry, so what would I do now? I can't go to the preacher drunk. I never intended to drink. That it would, but I don't know. I wasn't used to having any alcohol whatsoever. So a little bit of wine, and since I was hungry. So. Okay, it was homemade grape juice. Okay, that's all it was, homemade grape juice. Just imagination, right? Maybe it's just imagination, but it definitely is a real imagination in my mind. But I went home and took a shower and was totally fine after that. It helps, cool water helps. For grape juice. Yep, I took a shower, and I picked her up and went to sign the papers. I didn't tell the preacher, though. He doesn't know till today if he's here. I don't know if he's here. Hanam Rammer was the preacher who married us. I think I had pure motives. I had no idea that this would happen. But nobody knew I would drink both glasses of wine, since she didn't want hers, right? We had a lot of fun. I know at one time I went to Barton Creek. Walter Friesen, right? The old man. Who knows who that is? He's probably the oldest man in Barton Creek today. I could imagine. I don't know. And he said that one day he had gone past our place, and we had been in a water fight. He remembered that. He told us about that. So even people in Barton Creek remember something from us way back. When we were in Israel, in the temple courts, you can't hold hands in there. Where the temple is, the Muslims have control of that right now. So it's a Muslim holy site, and the Jews can't go in there, and Christians can only go there by permission. But you cannot hold hands in there. So we were so used to holding hands, the group arranged that they would have somebody walking behind us, make sure we weren't holding hands. Any questions, maybe?
don't know if this is a question, but there's a few things that becoming a little clearer here tonight when they're talking about Clarence here and the kids and the climbing of the trees and stuff. They, not only was the pills a thing there, they contributed to my weight loss. I used to walk, run, whatever. Well, I was walking until he started chasing me, and they used to go, him and Gladys would go for walks in the morning, and then what would happen is they would go Raymond, and they would come chasing after me, so I had to run faster. And then lo and behold, this one morning I'm walking again, and then Clarence and Gladys are on their driveway, and they roll out a big flag that says "Go Raymond, go!" And I said, and screaming at the top of their lungs that they're doing the whole cheerleader thing. And I thought maybe this thing would end. Then a few days later, I'm there by Abe Lowen's, and then comes a winger with a flag in the back and blowing the horn, and some people were screaming, "Go Raymond, go!" So that was actually a fun. Actually, one of those times when you did that, I actually broke my walking record, so it was very helpful.
What helped us when we were in this, going through this journey, it was really hard, is something to focus on other people, not just ourselves. So we enjoy doing some of those things. That's what Blaine said. We enjoyed when they were sick for a while. It was actually, Blaine and Melissa were sick. So we would buy them stuff sometimes, and then we set it somewhere, and we would come sit over here. We wouldn't get close to them because they were unclean. So we made sure we kept our distance, because Gladys needed an operation just a few days afterwards. So we were really worried that she would also have COVID. So we would test her almost every day. We were sure she didn't have COVID yet, because the whole surgery would be pushed back for weeks if she would have caught COVID. And we spent the whole day with them, going to Altamira, that was in Antigua. See, my memory, now he has to remind me. That used to be Gladys doing that. And we were sitting in the same car up and down all day long, and she didn't catch COVID. When I had COVID, she didn't catch COVID either. So she was resistant to COVID, immune to it, as far as I know. Because she had no antibody. We tested that out as well. After I had COVID, we checked our antibodies, and she didn't have any. And mine's were very high. I heard friends here. There was a bunch of friends that came to our house almost every day to pray. That was huge. There was 1,000 people praying for us. Thank you so much. There was people praying. They let me know by WhatsApp and telling me. Lots of people praying. But when these ladies show up day after day, come and pray with her, that was very special. That was really huge for. When they came and they said, "Can we come in?" I say, "If the praying ladies always can come in." It was huge for her. It was an encouragement for her. So I really want. Somebody else, or somebody who was.
Good evening, Cornelius and Elizabeth. What do I know of Gladys, or what do I know of Clarence? I guess the biggest thing that I know is that Gladys was a very good friend to Elizabeth. So when we were inviting people to our wedding, Clarence was Elizabeth's cousin, so there was a card for them as well. So we went there, and they weren't even home, so I almost felt like I was lucky, right? Because these older professional couple, how would I even perform if they would come out? What would I say? How would we invite them? Because I was really looking up to them, although I didn't really know them. But then they weren't home, so we just left a card, and I kind of almost felt lucky, right? Because those old people wouldn't come to our wedding anyway. We didn't know them that well, but they were family. So put a little bit more to what Jacob said as far as being an example. We had at one time registered for a conference in California, and then all of a sudden we found out that they were attending a marriage conference there before the conference that we were going to attend there. We didn't attend the marriage conference, but then they ended up attending the conference that we attended. And just the example that we saw of them attending that conference, I would just want to add to that. They really lived an example walking the streets of Reading, showing us what a relationship was. That's probably some things that I remembered, and yeah, we have really learned to know them, I think, probably through work. Clarence became the board member of FTC, and all of a sudden I became a friend to a strange, smart man. So we were building FTC, and I guess through that we really got close to their family, and we have had a lot of good times, like, yeah, go and spend times at resorts and stuff, so we will not break that.
Yeah, as you all know, with Gladys, there was no boring moment around. And when I came to their house, like when the boys played football once a week, and we would hang out together, and she usually would have something like a snack ready for her. And I said I just had supper, but she would make me at least taste it. I had to taste her snack, and usually it was something that a new recipe or something. And I was one of the ladies that went to pray for her, and she helped me a lot. When we prayed for healing, she would always say, "For God's glory." She mentioned that so many times, "For God's glory."
And by the way, as we all know, if we pray for others, that makes us better. And it's probably been 3 weeks, and I have a better partner because of that, right? I mean, it's not that I wish that this happened, that's not what I'm saying, but it's just how it works.
Bed van een wien.
Homemade cherry wine. I have some special words to tell from Gladys. She told me one time, "I love you." And then other time, we noticed that she was very sick. She suffered a lot. And I told her, "Jesus will come and take you, and we will let you go." And then later, she told me, "I will wait for you in heaven." And then I told her later, a bit later, "Yes, we will be very happy to see you there again." And just a few days later, the good Lord came and took her, and no suffering more.
In the last years, Gladys has often been on my mind and in my prayers, but I wasn't sure if she wanted company or if she needed company, and I didn't want to interfere or be in the way. But 4 weeks ago, I heard that she actually liked to have company, so I made a commitment that I would go and visit her every week. And so for 3 weeks, I had gone there once a week, and every time before I went, I would pray and ask God, what can I do to show her love or kindness or encourage her. And so the first time I went and I bought a fruit basket, and she was sleeping, so the nurse said I should come back after lunch. And when I came back after lunch, she said that had been just exactly what was needed, and before she got to take a picture, they had started eating it. And she had wanted a picture. And my daughter had taken a picture for me, so I sent her that picture. But each time I went there, I was just amazed at her cheerfulness, her positive attitude. Each time she was smiling. This last week, I had a very busy week, so I didn't get to go there, but Friday night, I just couldn't sleep, and for most of the night, I was praying for Clarence and Gladys and the family, and I just had a feeling on my heart that something was changing there, but I didn't know what. And then in the morning, I heard that Gladys had passed. But in the night, while praying, I decided if Gladys is still here tomorrow morning, I will go. If I have time or not, I will go. But then in the morning, she was gone. But she was an inspiration to see how cheerful she was and happy in spite of her suffering. And one of the visits when I was there, the ladies came to pray, so they asked if I wanted to join in. And so her faith was just amazing to watch. She just had such faith and trust in God. And I think that'll be a legacy that she'll leave to all her family. You were lucky to have her.
Anybody else?
Good evening. Excuse me. I thought, thinking back about Clarence, I thought, man, maybe I should say it, tell a little of my experience growing up together. We were good buddies all the way from young. We were chumming together and lots of stuff. And he would have this saying lots of times, and it would annoy us friends sometimes. He would say, we would ask, how is this, how is that? He would say, "Det no shit, det no shit." How does it look? Well, det no shit. That means it couldn't care less. It's okay. It doesn't matter. And even his brothers knew it. That was kind of what, his slang. That doesn't make a difference. Det no shit. One day I was at his garage, and they were working as Caterpillar. His brothers were there, and Jacob was there, I think, from Canada. He was helping out on the gravel floor and rolling around there in the dirt. And so by then he had found his girlfriend, and he had his Ford Ranger. He was working on it, putting runners on. I don't know why he thought they needed runners by now, but he wanted to put runners on, and he was looking and put it on and drilling holes. I don't know what all he did, and we were just talking there, and he asked, "So how does it look, guys? How does it look? Was it? Is it a schmuck? What? Is it glicknuch?" All of a sudden, I think Jacob burst out, "Det no shit." So I thought I said, yeah, finally he got that back. Det no shit. So he had a place in the heart that made a difference. Not everything det no shit. God bless.
My name is Alan Reimer, so I'm just going to add a fun fact. Gladys was my cousin, and we went to Venus to Comus Begraffers, Paradise. And there we always had to say our poems in those days. It was part of our duty. And we couldn't get our present before we had said our poem. But Jake Thiesen's girls were the only ones that got presents without saying their poem because they were just too shy. No amount of coaxing helped them. They would say their poem. And that was Viola and Carolyn. Gladys said hers.
Then those girls should say their poem now, right? I don't know if coaxing might help. I went to school with them together, and there they had to. There they had to say their poem. So I don't know how they did it. That I don't know. But because I wouldn't have mind to say mines twice if I knew it. Because it made no difference. Like Clarence says, doesn't make a difference. Doesn't change me if people don't think good of me. Doesn't matter. Anybody else want to share something?
We've heard about some of the Guatemala embarrassments. I thought I would add one to that. We spent a couple days with them, and we wanted to go to the Pacific Ocean, and I offered them they could go along, and Gladys just said, let's go. She's not staying here. On our way back, we were a bit late. There was a lot of traffic, and there was one lane of traffic on the right side beside the road. And I was driving, and Clarence wanted me to drive there because he was impatient to get back. And I thought it was scary to drive beside the road, and he couldn't stand that cars would drive ahead of us. So finally, I figured I would drive just midway so nobody could cross us on the right side, and it wouldn't irritate him that people would be passing. So I drove for miles in the center there, and Gladys just got the biggest kick out of it. I can still hear her laugh. She thought it was so funny. The thing that more importantly that I wanted to mention was that the time that we spent there with them and a little bit of time later, it was very obvious that Gladys had rock beneath her feet. She stood on a foundation. There was the life of Christ in her soul. What a beautiful thing to behold. And also, they've been a great example in the way they handled their marriage. So God bless you.
When we were in the States, in Florida, we would rent a vehicle, but then when we got there, they didn't have the vehicle that I rented. They say you can pick out a lot, just go and choose one. There was all these fancy cars, and there was this Mustang, 10-speed Mustang, with a convertible. So I got that vehicle and then took her to DoubleTree, which was the first time on honeymoon in Houston. But I took her to a DoubleTree. I rolled back the roof, took some pictures. And later on, when we drive down the road, I would roll back the roof and put the music. You know, they had good speakers in there. And I knew she had cancer then already, and so it was bittersweet. But it sure put a thrill in her heart. We went to Walmart shopping. She was tired easy. She couldn't walk that well. So I put her into a shopping cart and pushed her all over all the Walmart in a shopping cart. And she didn't mind. She would rather I might push her in a shopping cart than she's just staying home or not doing something. She was so like activity, doing something. She didn't mind to be sitting in a shopping cart, because nobody knew her there, right? So nobody would come and tell you what I'm telling you. She probably wouldn't do it FTC. I have pictures of that, and then I took it to her Mustang, and then got back into the car.
If you say that, it makes a lot of sense what happened in the States now. I didn't know that backstory, but she also got very tired. She couldn't really walk from the front desk to her room, but they didn't have any wheelchairs or anything, so I went and I got that luggage cart, and I stuck her on there, and she did it no problem, but jag skulle gå inte angelet.
No, she enjoyed that, actually. She did really enjoy that. Sometimes you got to compromise. You got to do what you got to do, right? Make it work.
Are we done or anybody else? Okay, well, yeah, we know them well, and we still enjoy their company. So we really will miss Gladys as well, and they were a blessing to our family and still are. Yeah. Okay, well, I think then that is it for tonight. We wish you all a good week, and keep praying for the family, and they will need that, and for, yeah, the immediate family and their siblings, whatever. God bless and have a good night.